Hello everybody, and welcome to a new podcast interview for our We Think Waste Circularity Working Group. The topic we're going to focus today is wireless monitoring of machineries, and for this, I'm very happy to have David Procter from Sensoteq, a company headquartered in Belfast, north of Ireland, and at the same time a market leader in IoT products for industrial environments. So, David, hello, and thank you for joining our podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to come on and talk about Sensoteq and some of the things that we offer today. Just a little bit about myself. My name is David Procter. I'm the product manager here at Sensoteq, and I have an engineering background, specifically in electrical engineering, but as with everything, it sort of broadens out as a career grows. So I've worked in security, I've worked in automotive, industrial environments, and now with Sensoteq, where we seem to be working in a huge number of different markets and regions across the globe.
So basically a jack of all trades, David, here with us.
Yeah, well, that they do say that makes a good product manager, basically not really good at any one specific thing.
I feel you. David, so I would like to start our discussion with by firstly asking you to tell us a couple of words of Sensoteq, of the company. Also, maybe it would be nice to hear who and or how came up with this idea of entering this wireless sensing market.
Sure, no problem at all. So Sensoteq was founded by two engineers, Adair Boudoir and Alan McCall. They both electrical engineers, worked for 20 years each in the automotive industry, designing sensors and sensing applications for cars and larger vehicles as well. And through that time, they learned a significant amount about the challenges of wireless transmission and battery-powered devices and sensing within harsh environments. A large part of what they both worked on was tire pressure monitoring, and inside of a tire is actually an extremely challenging environment, huge G-forces and moisture and water and things like that. So they learned a lot about the mechanical issues and things. And 6 years ago, they decided that they were going to use that knowledge that they'd built up and break into the industrial market, measuring temperature and vibration, things which they had a lot of experience in, just in a slightly different field. And then by utilizing the expertise, particularly in the wireless technologies that they were familiar with, they were able to break into the market, initially the American market, with a very successful product. At the time, we called it PMES, the Plant Maintenance Efficiency System, and it could also be used on vibrating screens and things like that for the screening efficiency system, screening crusher efficiency system. But what they very quickly realized within, I think, the first 6 months of starting Sensoteq was, hold on, we're transmitting this data to a device, and that device, you know, it's telling you what's going on, but there's an opportunity here to get that information up to the cloud, and we know how IoT works, so why don't we actually turn it into a proper IoT solution? And I always like to think of the difference between a regular product which just sends data up to the cloud and a proper IoT solution is that IoT solutions are bred to collect data in a really effective way and present that information really effectively to the customer. That would be true for IoT, but I think a lot of people are finding the same thing is true for regular IoT within their homes, and it's becoming more ubiquitous, especially since 2020, where everybody was locked in their houses and had projects to work on. So people are becoming more familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. That is very interesting, David. Yeah, of course.
And then I guess there was a lot of learning initially going into these new markets for Sensoteq. So particularly mines and quarrying, quite a lot of additional challenges there with electronics and mining and quarrying typically don't go very well hand in hand because of the robustness. So making sure that our products were truly robust for those markets was a real key differentiator for us in the very early days. And we've continued that trend of very high quality, very robust products throughout our 6 years.
Thank you, David. My second question would be more related to, let's say, the technical side of Sensoteq's activity. How do these sensors actually work when installed on machinery? Do you need, for example, let's say, a minimum number of devices for getting accurate measurements, or it depends maybe on the purpose of that machinery? And also, maybe a follow-up, which industries can benefit most from this technology?
Sure. So in terms of what the actual sensors do, I always like to use the analogy that it's like a fitness watch for your machines, for your electrical or electromechanical machines. And what the sensors do is monitor temperature and vibration and some other values that they acquire and send that data up to the cloud. Now, in terms of how many sensors would be required on a particular machine, is dependent mostly on the size of the machine and the different aspects of the machine, the different profiles that it actually generates. And what I really mean by that is we have two different types of sensors, and I like to break it down by saying one sensor, our Kappa range of sensors, goes on machines that you don't want to vibrate, okay? And then our TAW range of products goes on machines that you do expect to vibrate. And so what I mean by that is with machines you don't want to vibrate, we're talking about pumps and fans and conveyor systems and chillers, systems that you don't want to vibrate. So you spend a lot, the customer will spend a lot of time on the alignment, on the balance of those machines to reduce vibration down to a minimum. Whereas on the other side, with our TAW product range, that would go on machines that specifically produce a vibration pattern, an oscillating pattern to produce a material. So that would be the likes of crushers and screens and feeders. So those different applications. With the Kappa range of sensors, you would typically have somewhere maybe around 4 sensors per standard machine. And on something like a vibrating screen, you might have 4 sensors monitoring the motion and then 2 sensors monitoring the bearings on the machines, which are notorious for breaking down and being a point of failure on those machines. So sort of 4 and 6.
So it's clear that the sensing technology contributes to the improvement of sustainability and environmental protection. But from your experience and interaction with these above-mentioned industries, which of them would maybe need, let's say, to pay more attention to the benefits of using this type of technology?
Sure. So we operate in a very large number of markets, as I mentioned before. So mining, construction, quarries, particularly the cement industry, waste and recycling facilities. And what we found is 6 years ago, there was maybe a bit of hesitance towards adding new technology. Maybe it might reduce the need for more maintenance staff or something like that. But what our customers that we've worked very closely with have come to learn is that if they don't put some effort into monitoring their machines, then it's very likely that those machines are going to break down. And there's different types of maintenance practices that are available. Breakdown maintenance, where you wait until something breaks down and then you repair it, but then you need to have number of spares available, and you need to have people on hand to be able to conduct those repairs. You have preventative maintenance or historical based maintenance, which means every year you might take the machine offline, replace the bearings, do a few other bits and pieces and put it back in. But that can actually introduce more problems if you have to repair the machine when there's nothing wrong with it. So we like to focus on predictive maintenance, and predictive is the key word in the sensing solutions that we're actually trying to provide. And I remember this very clearly walking around a cement site actually in Ireland, and the maintenance manager said to me, if you don't plan your maintenance, your machines are going to plan it for you. So, and that was quite a change, because the cement industry would be not known for adapting to these new technologies very quickly. So there is a step change happening there. And what we're finding is that the companies that are more resistant to adopt these new technologies, especially if we're coming into something like a recession, then they may be struggling with, downtime might be far more, might hurt them far more than their competitors, because the competitors are able to keep running all the time because they have the data to understand how healthy their machines are. But further to that, one of the things that we found is we would work with a large number of OEMs as well, particularly within the mining area. And these OEMs are now offering these sensors as standard on their equipment. And what that means is whenever mining sites and construction or quarries are looking for new machinery, some of the tenders are now saying you must have a digital solution to be able to monitor these machines. And if you don't have it, some OEMs are going to be not even able to fill the tender or compete for the tender. So there's a lot of benefits to it from a business side of view, but from the sustainability side of view that you mentioned, we will reduce the energy, because you will know exactly from the data that we provide you what the machines are doing. So you can see how fast the machines are running, you can see how much energy they're actually exerting, particularly on something like a vibrating screen, where the amount of energy that's being exerted is very critical in terms of the output. And you can compare this data now for the first time to really understand how different aspects of the machinery play together. So by using that information and by looking at the alerts and the alarms that come through, you can very quickly react to changes in your machines as well to really knock that sustainability nail on the head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, David, for the additional details. One last question before we can wrap it up.
Sure.
How do you see how do you imagine actually the evolution of the wireless monitoring solutions in terms of helping these industries, namely cement quarries or mining, on improving their sustainability targets in, let's say, 5 years from now? Do you see maybe an increasing role for this type of technology, or maybe it also has to do more with the improvement of the broader political or legal framework that you will have on?
Yeah, so we all know that target legislation around environmental and sustainability practices is getting tighter every year because of ongoing things with the planet and etc. But I suppose right now, especially in Europe, we're acutely aware of how energy, no matter what source it comes from, can play a big part in our daily lives. And when energy is constrained, we need to be operating at the utmost efficiency wherever possible. This winter is going to be, I think, a key driver in new legislation throughout Europe and the UK and other parts of the world, where they start to identify that actually industry is using a huge proportion of the energy that is available within the total energy market. And so these plants and these facilities are going to have to prove that they are aware of how their machines are operating, how much energy they're using, and they're going to be looking for ways to reduce down that energy. So the way that that's going to happen over the next 5 years is by acquiring as much data as possible about machines, about output, about production. Now, we fulfill that sort of the maintenance side of it, the machinery side of it, but there's a lot of other data there as well that companies are going to have to capture. And whenever you pull all this data together with the energy usage and with new steps forward in machine learning and how far that has come on in the last 5 to 10 years, you can very quickly see how if you don't have the data now, you're not going to be able to make those changes in 5 years, because you might need 5 years worth of data to adequately predict what's going to happen or predict which machines are going to fail. So get the data now, even if you're not sure what to do with it. We feel that we add a lot of value with our products anyway, but having the data now is going to be crucial in 5 years' time for companies to be able to hit those sustainability targets that are going to be enforced on them.
So a data-driven approach would be maybe one of the most important aspects and challenges also for this sustainability effort from these industries. Okay, yeah. Super, wonderful. David, thank you very much. That's all for today. Many thanks for setting aside some time to be our guests. I'm looking forward to having you in our future activities. And I would like to thank you and the entire Sensoteq team. Best of luck and looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to come back again.
Thank you, David.